Hey everybody, what's up? You're watching Sit Down. I'm DJ Sixsmith. Ethan Cutkosky is here with us. Shameless final season on Showtime. Ethan, nice to meet you, man. How are you?
How are you, DJ? Pleasure.
I'm doing really well. So you have literally grown up on this show, and it has been a major chapter in your life. So what is it like to finally have the bow on this one and the chapter to officially be over?
I think when we realized that this was going to be our last season, right around we got filming November of last year, we were kind of debating if this was going to be our last season or if we are going to go for one more. Once we figured out, we're like, okay, this is like, something we've all been preparing for. It's 11 seasons by this point, so kind of expected. And we were supposed to go back to filming in March, and then everything hit. And we were literally 3 days away. I think it was like a Friday. We were supposed to come back filming on a Monday, and we're like, well, yeah, 2 weeks. And then we didn't start filming until early September. So I think honestly, a big vibe of this season is that everybody's just happy to be there right now. Everybody's happy to be working with each other. Everybody's just, grateful that we have this right now. So I think that's also kind of adding on to the factor of just allowing it to simmer as like a last season and also let it be that good.
Yeah, it feels like a good year to have this because people can fully appreciate that the show is back. You can appreciate that you got to do it one last time with everybody. And this fan base for Shameless is really loyal and kind of different than some other fan bases. So what's it like just to see the groundswell of reaction to the final season?
I think it's definitely, there's a lot of mixed feelings. A lot of people saying they don't want this to end. A lot of people saying that, they've seen both Emma and I's character who plays Debbie grow up together. So I think it's also kind of like, all right, this is the send off too. Her and I are both now 21. So I think it's definitely mixed feelings for them, but I think they're also excited to see what's going to happen out of this year. And I think they're really ready for that and eager.
You were telling me before we got going that you used to go from Illinois to LA with your dad. You'd fly in, you'd do the show. What do you remember about those early days before you were out west and, this was your full-time deal?
Well, the biggest thing I remember is that, my parents would always say, like, you got to treat this like a job. You got to come in here. Like, you also, biggest thing is we're going to make you do your school. Never gonna, my mom, she's not gonna let me fall behind school. So they're like, also, you got to have these aspects that you're still a 12-year-old kid. You can't get lost in like, whatever's going on. So, and also I don't have my friend group out here. So it's like, okay, what do we got to figure out? I remember I'm still an avid skateboarder. Been skating all throughout there. Just skating through the lot always, and skating's not allowed on the lot. So I was always pushing those, trying to skate away. It was always just like a lot of just trial and error. Just me and my dad and I grow very close together too, because him and I is just like bumming it out. Come out here, try to get his Dutch done. Don't stay like in a nice place. Get the work done, have a good time with us, and then go back home. So, and I was, biggest thing I remember, I was like kind of saying to myself is I never really was concerned if like, oh, are we going to get picked back up or not again? I don't even think I really had the concepts in my head yet. I think I was just more so worried like, oh yeah, like what are we doing? Like, what are me and my friends doing tomorrow? Like, who are we hanging out with? Like, what do you mean? Like getting picked back up? Like, okay.
You're like, when can I go skateboarding? No, maybe they changed that rule. It's like it would be more incentive for kids to be a part of this stuff, right?
Exactly. But so yeah, I think it's also just kind of a lot of growing and learning from the people that I worked with, both on the crew and on the cast.
Well, why don't we talk about William H. Macy? You've obviously spent a ton of time with him. What stands out the most about him compared to some of the other people that you've crossed paths with?
I think, especially since when I was when I was younger and becoming into working on a television show with William H. Macy and his stature and trying to keep up as a 9-year-old, 10-year-old, learning your lines for these first few times, learning that okay, there is a crew of about 100 people that when you got assists, they're relying on you. So kind of like drilling that into your head was he very much helped me learn my lines and like very much repetitive since I was young. So I definitely have that instilled into me. And I always kind of give him credit for being able to help that instill into me. Also just kind of like taking and learning from him as an actor too. It's a very interesting thing. And kind of like as I'm growing older, you become more aware of this stuff. And you're like, wow, this is definitely such a cool experience to be able to look back at all these years and be like, wow, this is, I got to take this in and be molded by this as a kid, and not even necessarily really thinking like that when I was that young.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the acting thing is a beast in and of itself. To do it as a kid and try and do school and hang out with friends, like that's a whole different thing. How were you able to manage that? What were the keys for you, and not only just sustaining this show, but just having your life outside of the show?
It was definitely a hard thing to manage, and I think one of the strongest points of it were my parents, to be honest. They definitely kept me level-headed and sane throughout the whole thing. My biggest supporters, yeah, biggest protectors too.
Mm.
And because you have opinions coming in from all different areas of the board that can come in from whether it be friend groups, school, other people's groups, perfect, but then you also have to, make they have to also make sure that I stick to a professionality when I'm working too, as you are within every work environment. So, that's something that they want to say is like, you still got to be a kid, but you also still got to be respectful and professional. So it was definitely pretty much a lot of like, just their guidance that helped me throughout everything. But the transitions, honestly, back from going back to school were pretty easy. I just never wanted to talk about what I did.
Mhm.
I never wanted to bring that into that area. I wanted to just, hang out with my friends, go skateboard, and get in trouble with that stuff.
Well, I guess also with some other people, like sometimes, kids who are in the same age group are watching that show. Maybe with Shameless, it was a little bit different because it was on Showtime. Maybe people didn't have that. It's a little
Yeah.
bit of an older audience, right? You probably miss some of the stuff that other kids get. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I think by the time I was honestly a teenager in high school and it really went on Netflix, that's when a lot of my peers were watching
Gotcha.
it, and even teachers and stuff like that. And there was teachers who were very supportive of it, and then there was also teachers who were not as supportive. But as each with it goes. But it definitely was interesting to kind of start seeing like, oh, okay, this is on Netflix now. This is kind of like I didn't even really think about this. Like but especially being with my friends like downtown Chicago. Chicago is just such a ride hard town for the show, and
Hmm.
it's honestly awesome to see because we don't have a lot of really productions in Chicago, really too big. So when there is, they get really excited for it. It's not like Los Angeles, like you see, oh, okay, there's somebody walking down the
Mhm.
street. Okay, cool. It's like, oh wow, this is happening in our town. This is awesome.
Yeah, give me some memories that you have of just being in Chicago, shooting in Chicago. Because, like you said, like even with The Shy on Showtime, that was a really special deal. Same with this. So, what stands out the most to you?
I remember when we went on Netflix the first year. We always would have people come to set and say what's up. But this year it was different. I remember there was a lot of people, and they actually had to start putting up barricades over
Mm.
by the front entrance. And I remember we were shooting a scene. I don't know what it was for. I don't know why, but all of a sudden I just hear this uproar, and it sounds like a baseball stadium, like a stadium full of people. And I go, what we're all like, what is going on? It's the people that are out there waiting, like, they wanted to say what's up, like to some of the cast, like as we're, coming out from filming. And I was like, this is insane. Like it's so cool. It was honestly just such a cool thing to see. And honestly, half these people, there's people from out from my areas, there's
Mhm.
people that know my friends and stuff. And then I remember I would bring my friends down to set, and also being 13 years old and wanting to just go be, a hooligan and hang out. We were always just running around. I remember, we got the cops to show us like their what are their strap on cuffs, like the bat, like, when we're like 13 years old, just trying to mess around with everybody and just super, having fun with it. Another cool thing is in the later seasons, since the houses it was kind of hard to watch from them. Some of those houses actually started Airbnb the stays so that people could come stay there and watch us film. It was
Wow,
actually really interesting. There's people from like Australia that would come out.
that's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's like super random, but you're just like, oh wow, that's pretty cool, and like get to talk to them, say what's up.
That's really awesome. Wait, I gotta ask you, who's the teacher that's like, Ethan, I can't believe you're in Shameless? Like, who's banging on you as that is like a bad thing? That's crazy to me.
I mean, I think it was, I think coming from our area, we don't see a lot of kids being on productions or a lot of the time. And I think that really the only stories you hear of child actors from my area is kind of horror stories
Mhm.
almost. Is
Sure.
like, you have stuff to kind of relate back to. And, a lot of people necessarily don't understand that There's some concepts of it, like, yeah, there's like these concepts of like people in movies, people in TV shows, and there's people that do fall along with stereotypes like that. And I think that Chicago's such a hard grown area and that we're just not used to a lot of stuff like that. So I think that maybe bringing some of that stuff for such a young kid, there were some teachers that may have had some opinions, stuff like that. But, the end of the day, it helps me shape, helps me grow, helps me form into, the person I am today.
Yeah, no
So
question about it.
it
And
definitely
I know
experience.
music. I know music's a big part of the person you are today. So what's it been like growing that, and even just seeing all the people listening to your stuff this year? How cool was that?
Honestly, I've wanted to make music since I was less than 12 years old when I first started listening to Linkin Park, to be honest. That's why I was
Nice.
like, I want to make music. I never had the confidence really to make too much music because I never thought I was going to be musically inclined. I always wrote a lot and was always influenced by a lot of hip hop and rap. But by the time I started turning 18, I started kind of making demos with friends out here, started getting friends that, okay, they got like studios in their house. Like this is like, stuff that seems attainable. And then when quarantine started this year, I was like a little right before, I was like, I got to just start really working hard on music. Like I really want to work on this hard all year. And one of my roommates now, who wasn't my roommate at first, but he writes, he produces. So we just started sitting down, working a lot together and writing every day, making different demos every single day, and just kind of going at it until we had something. We're like, okay, we got like about 200 different things. Like, let's see what we want to pick from this and kind of go from there. So then I was able to put out 2 different songs this year. Stuff that we both produced and wrote in my bedroom together. And so just kind of want to be able to take it from there. I'm definitely very happy with the way that it's come so far. I'm just distributed it myself through, I think it's called DistroKid.
Mhm. That's really awesome. By the way, Linkin Park, all time great.
Yeah,
Love all Linkin Park.
definitely. I still listen to them all the time.
You forget about them too. Like they had some great albums too, and
Oh,
like some
and they have
stuff that really cut through.
so much low key stuff. And then you start listening back, you're like, wow, this is like definitely very timeless.
Yeah, no question. And then they kind of shifted with some more of the pop stuff, but that original stuff just really
Yeah,
hit home.
they
Really
still
hit home.
carry that nice grunge through it. So
Mhm. No doubt, man. Well, Ethan, really nice to meet you, man. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate the time, and best of luck with everything going forward. All right.
yeah, it was a pleasure talking to you, DJ. I appreciate it.